A new Monster Hunter built from the ground up for the Nintendo Switch is being heavily rumored with the reveal coming soon, and there's some interesting details attached to it. Gamescom 2020 snubs the PlayStation 5 for some odd reason, and stop me if you've heard this before, but a certain plumber who doesn't really do any plumbing anymore is rumored to be having his 3D collection revealed this week. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So the relationship between Capcom and the Nintendo Switch has been a very interesting one, and something I've been a bit outspoken about. Now, I do appreciate all of these awesome Capcom games coming to the Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo Switch owners seem to enjoy them as well. Pretty much everything that Capcom has put on the Nintendo Switch, whether it was overpriced or not, which is a debate for another day, has sold very, very well on the platform. Whether you're talking about games like Ultra Street Fighter 2, The Final Challengers, which was essentially an overpriced version of Street Fighter 2, it still sold very well and exceeded Capcom's expectations. Of course, they've done lots of collections on the Nintendo Switch as well that have sold very well, and another game that definitely sold above expectations for Capcom was Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch. Now, at its core, of course, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate was essentially a 3DS port that was brought over to the Nintendo Switch, but Nintendo Switch owners seem to enjoy this game because of the improved visuals and, of course, the quality of life improvements that were attached to this game as well. Now, while Monster Hunter World, of course, came out on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, that game never came to the Nintendo Switch, and it's long been rumored that a Nintendo Switch-specific version of Monster Hunter was going to be in development and potentially coming to the system. Well, now we have some new rumors floating around about this Monster Hunter game. Now, this is coming to us from Aesthetic Gamer on Twitter, who is also known as Dusk Golem. He is an industry insider. He talks a lot about Capcom stuff. A lot of the times he's right, some of the times he's not right. So, as with anything, take this information with a grain of salt. But over the past few days, Aesthetic Gamer has said that Monster Hunter Switch is going to be revealed very soon. And then he went on to say the following. He then goes on to say that Monster Hunter Switch is running on a compatible version of the RE engine, which I think is very interesting, because if you remember the construction of the Nintendo Switch, or even the Nintendo NX as it was known during that time, supposedly Capcom was very vocal that they wanted the Nintendo Switch to include more RAM for things like the RE engine. Now, of course, the RE engine has not come over to the Nintendo Switch. Games like Resident Evil 7 never ended up coming to the system, albeit there was that streaming version that was available only in Japan. That game ended up never coming to the Nintendo Switch, even though that was somewhat rumored alongside of the launch of the Nintendo Switch. So I would be interested to see how this game ends up turning out, and really, I think it makes sense for Capcom to put a Nintendo Switch Monster Hunter game out there. Monster Hunter always sells well on Nintendo platforms, even going back to the Nintendo Wii. It was a very popular game on the Nintendo Wii. It really got a lot of life breathed into it with the 3DS versions of the game, and it just seems like a perfect fit. Now, of course, this is being rumored that there will be a reveal in the month of September. There's no word if that's going to be a Capcom only reveal, if Nintendo is going to team up with Capcom to show off this game, but I do hope this is an actual thing. I think this makes a lot of sense. Like I said, Monster Hunter World sold very well across the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and Steam, so Monster Hunter is a popular franchise once again, and I think now is the time to strike with the new version on the Nintendo Switch. So hopefully we will get some stuff from this. I think it would be very exciting, and it would make good business decisions for Capcom to put a Monster Hunter on the Nintendo Switch. I do wonder how that RE engine will look on the Switch though. Next up, Gamescom 2020 took place last week with a digital presentation, and well, like a lot of things that involve a certain individual, no names given, it just sort of dragged on for too long. Yes, there was some cool stuff from that presentation. There was some interesting game announcements, mostly smaller stuff, but really, it just took way too long. I would say the biggest takeaway I had from this presentation was the Ratchet & Clank for PlayStation 5 stuff. We got an in-depth look at Ratchet & Clank running on the PlayStation 5. We learned that the game would be supporting 4K 30 frames per second or 1080p 60 frames per second if you prefer a higher frame rate, so that was really cool. And then we learned that this was going to be a launch window game for the PlayStation 5, meaning probably within the first 3 months of the PlayStation 5's launch, Ratchet & Clank will be coming out. I sort of foresee this as a January title. I don't think it's quite ready for the launch of the PlayStation 5 in the month of November, but who knows, maybe Sony will surprise us. Now, for some reason at Gamescom 2020, they decided to do some awards, and lots of games that aren't even out were winning awards. I didn't really understand it, but there was one award for the most wanted tech. And that's where things get just really bizarre for me, because here were the nominees: the Xbox Series X, cloud gaming with Xbox Game Pass, and the Intellivision Amico. Now, the Xbox Series X ended up winning this award, but where's the PlayStation 5? Like, I don't know. If you're doing a video game award and you're doing it for the most anticipated technology, the most wanted technology, how can you not have the PlayStation 5, which is launching right alongside of the Xbox Series X at this event? Like, it just seems so Bush League to me to do this as an oversight, and it's really not even a story, but I guess it is a story to me, because things like this just really irritate me. It's like, how can people take you seriously as a award show or as a presentation if you're excluding one of the biggest consoles that is coming out in 2020? Of course, there is the fact that Ratchet and Clank was the most interesting thing from your whole presentation, yet you don't have the PlayStation 5 in the most wanted tech category. Like, this makes no sense to me. There shouldn't be game awards at a game reveal show in the first place. I think that's silly. But, you know, if you're going to do that, you should at least have all the proper nominees lined up. I'm not a huge fan of game show awards, you know, as you guys know this. I'm not really a fan of the video game awards or anything like that. I like the announcements, but I think the whole voting process is pretty silly. But this was just a huge oversight, and honestly, they deserve some feedback from this, because it's absolutely ridiculous to me that the PlayStation 5 got snubbed at Gamescom when in reality they had the most interesting thing at the event. And finally, if you are a Nintendo Switch owner, you are probably looking forward to holiday 2020 because, well, there's a lot of mystery with it. We don't know what Nintendo is doing. We don't know if they're doing anything beyond Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Could you imagine if Nintendo just released Pikmin 3 Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch and said, you know what, we'll get back to you guys in 2021. Enjoy Pikmin 3 Deluxe. We hope you guys enjoy this game, and we'll see you guys next year. Obviously, Nintendo is hopefully doing something. Now, of course, we got an Indie World presentation a couple weeks ago. Last week, there was heavy rumors in a Nintendo Direct, and we ended up getting a Nintendo Direct, but of course, it was a Nintendo Direct Mini partner presentation, which I think is starting to lose its luster as far as a name is concerned. We did get a new Kingdom Hearts game that's coming to the Nintendo Switch, but it's a rhythm game, and for some reason it's $60, which I think is just absolutely bizarre. That game looks like a $30 game to me, but Kingdom Hearts fans are gonna buy it because there's additional story in there, and that's how they sort of reel you in with all these Kingdom Hearts offshoot games. They're like, oh, we'll put a little story in here so that Kingdom Hearts fans will have to buy this game. I could go on a rant about that for a very long time. But of course, the big mystery is the Super Mario 3D collection for the 35th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers actually a real thing? Is it going to happen? Now, if you ask me, I am 99.99999, and we could do nines forever, % confident that this is an actual thing, that this is actually coming, because I have heard too many things about it. Of course, this will entail Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. Now, beyond that, there is, of course, Super Mario 3D World Deluxe, which is supposedly getting a new coat of paint and some additional upgrades such as new characters to play as. And then I also suspect that there will be games added to the Nintendo Switch Online service within the Mario universe that are not on there, such as Super Mario All-Stars. But there are people that don't think that this is real at this point in time, and honestly, I can't say I really blame you because of the fact that Nintendo has been so quiet. Well, supposedly it's going down this week. Supposedly the reveal for the Super Mario 3D World Collection, the 35th anniversary celebration of Mario, will be revealed by Nintendo this week. Now, this is being reported by multiple different websites right now based on insider information, and honestly, it's kind of do or die time for this game. If this is an actual thing, which I definitely think it is, you gotta talk about it at some point in time. And a lot of signs are pointing to the fact that this will be announced this week for the Nintendo Switch. Now, what sort of announcement will this be? That's sort of up in the air as well. Will this actually be a proper Nintendo Direct, since it has been roughly 1 year since we have gotten one? Will this be a presentation based solely on first-party titles, or will this just focus strictly on the Super Mario 35th Anniversary Collection? I'm not quite sure what I think about that. I think at best you would get some other first-party titles involved in this Super Mario 35th Anniversary announcement, maybe some stuff for 2021, because I'm not quite sure of anything else that will be coming coming out in 2020, but this obviously is the time for it to happen. You have the PlayStation 5 announcements coming soon. You have the Xbox Series X announcements coming soon, such as the release date and the price point of these systems. So Nintendo has to have something to talk about. I think Pikmin 3 Deluxe will be a fine game, but I don't think you can really put that up alongside of a launch of a new system. However, a 3D Mario collection that features enhanced visuals, quality of life improvements, and tighter controls, I think would be a huge deal. So supposedly it's finally happening this week, and honestly I hope it does, because there are a lot of people who don't think it's real, and I just want to be like, ha, I told you so. Now we can stop the rumors about it and we can actually look at the actual games that are included in this and see what improvements have been made. So mark your calendar, sometime this week supposedly it's going to happen, and really I just hope it does at this point. Alright, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on everything in the comments section down below, and as always folks, thank you for checking out this video. Like I said, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel. Take a look at the Nintendo Switch games for the month of September video that I made, because there's actually some really good games coming out this month that you probably aren't aware of. Make sure you guys check out my WrestleFest arcade 1-up cabinet, because that thing is just absolutely awesome and I love it. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.